Is Baptiste Robert. I'm a French ethical hacker, so I'm well known on the internet, especially on Twitter. And one of my things is to break governmental application, especially mobile application. So I will talk about 3 different stories. So the first one, Okay, so the first thing I wanted to share with you is when I managed to find a backdoor in all OnePlus phones all over the world. So basically OnePlus left a small backdoor and I was able to access everything. Another story. So I don't know if you remember, but in 2018, there was an application, a dating application for Republicans, especially called Donald Daters. This application has been created by a staffer from Marco Rubio, a Marco Rubio staffer. And 3 hours after the launch of this application, I was able to get all the database. And as you can imagine, this is a dating application. So with all the messages and yeah. And the last one is one day I was scanning the internet, trying to find some stuff, and I found something. Basically, I managed to find an open system, let's call it like this, and I was able to prove that this system was owned by the CIA. So I was in my apartment in Toulouse, France, and I was trying to reach the CIA. I did it through the secret services and some friends. So before anything, let's talk a little bit about security fundamentals in order to be all aligned. Today is recorded, so I know that you know all this stuff, but we will just remind a small notion. I really like this tweet because we are talking about cybersecurity. It can be a little bit complicated all the time with big definition, but cybersecurity is a punch in your face. Basically, the threat is the punch being thrown. The threat actor is the guy who will give you this punch, and the vulnerability is your inability to defend against the punch. And the risk is the probability to get this punch. And we will talk about a new vulnerability you probably don't know, or at least you don't think about it. And Sandra, in the first panel, reminded about it. It's the digital footprint, and the digital footprint of everyone, not only the executive of a company, but also the employee. So what is a digital footprint? Digital footprint is every time you are using the internet, you leave data behind you. And there is 2 types of digital footprint. Active, the active digital footprint, all the publication you are posting on social networks. I'm taking my phone like this. Yeah, I am in Washington with everyone. I will post this on Twitter, and everyone will see your face. And they will know that at this time, you are in Washington with me. So I actively posting things on the internet. And the second thing is the passive digital footprint. This is all the collection done by website, mobile application, everything, with or without your consent. And we are talking basically about metadata. What you have to realize is when you are sending a text message on WhatsApp, for example, this is not only the content of the message which is sent. There is hundreds of information linked to this message. The for example, if you are connected or not to a Wi-Fi, the strength of the Wi-Fi signal, the battery, and all this kind of information. So I am a hacker, and I don't have a nice suite like you, so I'm here to hack things. So let's try to hack something. So last time, we were in Washington, D.C. with Sebastian in March. I was reading the news, and I saw this article. So the DC Health Link, which is an insurance company in Washington here, has been hacked, and all the data has been published on the internet. I was in the plane yesterday, and Sebastian told me, okay, you have to give a keynote. Okay, so I need to prepare something. So I had this article in mind, and I was like, okay, let's try to find the data. And it was super easy to find this data. 5 minutes after reading this article, I was able to go to a dark web forum and find all the data available for free. You have all the data, and I continue to work on it. So what can we find in this data? So this is a list of all the columns available. And as you can see, we can find a lot of super personal information. The home address, the work email, a lot of gender, date of birth, SSN. So you have a lot of super personal things. And because we are in Washington, you can find a lot of staffers in this data breach. Maybe there is people you know in it. So I continue to analyze a little bit this data leaks, all this data, and in this data, basically we have 50,000 emails, and we have 500 senate.gov emails and 500 house.gov emails. That's a lot. And I wanted to play a game, because I am a hacker, so let's say I am a Chinese. Let's say I want to find a vulnerability. I want to find a vulnerability and to use this data breach as a starting point in order to find a vulnerability. So I have the data, and my job right now is doing OSINT, what we called open source intelligence, be able to get available data on the internet. And what we are trying in my company, so I created a company 3 years ago, which is called Predictor Lab. We are creating tools, OSINT tools, for everyone. The goal of Predictor Search, which is our latest product, is you enter an email address or phone number, and in 5 seconds, you will have all the profile linked to this email, with all the details, the location, when the profile has been created, and everything. So the goal is, let's use it. We have some data, we have a tool, so let's analyze this data. So for example, if you enter my email, you will have a detailed report like this, with my profile, the name I'm using on the internet. So as you can see, sometimes my name is John Doe, and a lot of data like this. So let's start by the first example. In this data breach, someone called Avery was in the data breach, and she was working for the Congresswoman Alma Adams. If you use predictor search with this email, I was able to find a Flirk account. So Flirk, if you don't know this service, is in order to host images. And the first issue we can see here is that Avery is not working anymore for the congresswoman. So the congresswoman doesn't own his own Flickr account. So Avery needs to give back this Flickr account to the congresswoman. And I wanted to know more. So I was able to find Avery on LinkedIn. So I was able to verify that, OK, this is the correct one. I am able to find the experience. But as Sandra said in the first panel, hacker doesn't care if this is a personal information or if it is a professional information. I was also able to find his Pinterest account with a personal photo and a lot of different personal things. But let's check Alexander. So Alexander was working for Senator McCain. And unfortunately, his email address was in one of the latest Twitter data breach. And in this data breach, I was able to find his hidden Twitter account. So it's quite a common thing to have an hidden Twitter account. You can follow what you want to follow. You can like what you want to like. So this is his hidden account. But also, I was able to find his LinkedIn account. So this guy was super professional in some photos, but not in his YouTube account, for example. So let's remind that I am a Chinese hacker. I'm trying to find vulnerability. I'm trying to find a leverage to push you to do what I want to do. So I do have something. I have a beginning of something. And the latest example is AB. I really like AB because, so if you use predictor search with his email, I was able to find a Strava account. If you don't know Strava, you should. So Strava is an application for runners, so you can publish all your workout and everything. Small issue is, if you have your profile open, I can see all your workouts with everything. So I am able to see the starting point, but also when you end your workout. And if you look at the free races, you can see that the starting point for the left and right is the same. This is during the week when she is working. So I know where she is working. And the one in the middle, this is on Sunday. She is at home. So I know where she is living. Also, like the others, AB was on LinkedIn, so I was able to verify. I was able to put a face on the name, but also she's a young girl, and she do have a past, and she forgot to remove one of his teenager videos on YouTube. And also, I am a Chinese hacker. I want to find something. I want to show you that I have something on you. And this is open data. This is publicly accessible. So to end my presentation, be really careful on what you have on the internet. Be able to control your digital footprint is mandatory when you are in a big position, but also when you are working as a staffer, when you are working as an employee. And when you run a company today, handle the digital footprint of your employee is mandatory. Thank you for your attention.